Chapter 5. We have cause to be uneasy. Yes, we do, and it's your bad argument. This is the last video in my 5-part series. If you don't accept Lewis's groundwork for why you must think there is a God, then the rest of the book is useless. He's either made his case by now or he hasn't, and I argue he hasn't. Lewis is going to bring up 2 bits of evidence that support his God's existence: the universe and the law of human nature. No and no. We've only got to this point with the aid of some major logical fallacies happening here. A bad case of post hoc ergo propter hoc, a God would institute morality, we have morality, therefore we have a God, begging the question, who made the universe? Why did we say who? Argument from repetition. How many times have I said law of human nature in just this review? I mean, he changes it up in the actual book, but he repeats those things a lot also. Shifting the burden of proof. Oddly enough, he shifted it to a gut feeling. Circular cause and consequence. God explains the universe in Chapter 4, and the universe explains God in Chapter 5. Equivocation. The law of human nature keeps getting downplayed as the book goes on. Ecological fallacy. Lewis says that we all know that there is a moral law, and then he says that he can only speak for himself. False dilemma. Either the materialist view is right or the religious view is right. What about other views? Fallacy of many questions. He keeps building upon something that he hasn't yet proven, namely the law of human nature. False attribution. Your gut feeling about morality isn't a reliable or unbiased source. Moving the goalposts. Trying to prove a God instead of Yahweh, for one. Making Yahweh a brain outside of the universe that could never ever be found, for a second. And reification. We're talking about this mind God as if it's real, and Lewis is getting strangely specific about what it must be. We saw the same problem with Zach Whosoever. False analogy. He disproved Christianity with his analogy about architects not being found in the houses they build. Well done. I couldn't have done it better myself. We get to cherry picking in this chapter, but he hasn't resorted to the argument from ignorance, and for that I applaud you, sir. Lewis's argument is dead in the water, but I can keep slamming him, so I will. We've got these 2 proofs, the universe and the law of human nature, that showed to Lewis that a God exists. He's going to start drafting up personality traits about this God that match Christianity's God. Problem number 1. If you're using the universe to draw characteristics about God, then you literally have everything in the universe to prove whatever personality trait you want. Problem 2. If you're drawing from yourself the characteristics you ascribe to God, you're committing idolatry. Really, if you're drawing personality traits of God from yourself, then really, you're thinking your God into existence. This idea is still prevalent in today's culture, don't get me wrong, but it isn't a good way to learn about a God if one does exist. It does explain why a hateful man like Fred Phelps promotes a hateful God, why Osama bin Laden followed a God of terrorism, why politically correct types follow a God of peace, love, and harmony, and most everyone follows a God that's like themselves. Again, if we're using ourselves as a source for characteristics about God, any quality we possess can be used. This used to be called idolatry. I guess Lewis is calling it reasoning. Lewis is going to cherry pick the qualities he wants to promote how this hypothetical brain God really matches up well with the Christian biblical God. He's even resorted to referring to the hypothetical brain God as him, with a capital H. I wonder what part of the universe makes Lewis think that space God is a man. Why not a woman? A neutral gender, maybe a collection of gods, a hive mind even. From here, predictably, Lewis launches into the usual tripe about being a broken and imperfect man before a perfect God who loves you but has to punish you for not being perfect, and there's this loophole of vicarious human sacrifice, blah 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 blah. And that's all the rest of his book is built upon, sloppy philosophy. According to this book, Christianity is simply the result of having a gut feeling and following that feeling to some bizarre and illogical conclusions that your gut brings you to, until you come to the point that you realize that there must be a space brain creator God out there. That creator God must be the Christian God because, well, he doesn't provide a reason. Really, any religion could use this exact same argument to prove that their God exists. I could use the exact same setup that Lewis has established here to show how the flying spaghetti monster exists. After all, how could you have morality unless he bestowed it upon you with his noodly appendage? Ultimately, Lewis's apologetics that he's setting up for this book rely on a dismissal of science and any actual search for truth. He substitutes his word games in to hope to try to fool you. And quite frankly, That's not going to fly with me. I think that I've shown that Lewis's groundwork for proving the Christian God is garbage, and we can toss the book aside. But what do you think? Please rate and comment below. I'm interested to see what you guys think. I love being proved wrong, so have at it in the comment section below.